Imagine you're scrolling through your feed, right? Late at night, maybe, and you see this photo that just stops you. It's weird, unbelievable even, and it claims to show something. Well, something totally out of this world, smack dab in the middle of a major city. Okay, let's get into this. Today, we are doing a deep dive into a photo that seriously went viral. It came out of Phoenix, Arizona, and people were calling it all sorts of things: a demon, an angel. Some even brought up Nephilim. Now, for anyone not familiar, Nephilim are these figures from like ancient texts, often described as giants, sort of supernatural beings. So our mission here is to look past the crazy headlines. We're going to dig into the evidence, specifically using photo forensics, which is fascinating stuff, and we want to explore how we even process images that are just visually baffling. We're working from a viral audio report that really broke down the original Facebook post. It looked at the shares' huge numbers and, crucially, the digital forensic analysis that tried to figure out if this image was actually real. So this deep dive is really for you if you're curious not just about what people saw, but how we investigate these kinds of claims, and maybe what it means when something just doesn't add up. All right, so let's picture this image. It's this really tall, shadowy figure. It looks like it has wings, definitely legs, and yeah, some people saw horns right away. But it's kind of indistinct,
Yeah.
Eerie.
Yeah.
That's part of what makes it so captivating, I think. It's blurry enough to be mysterious, but clear enough to suggest something really unusual. And this wasn't just some random picture, it had details. January 1st, 7:01 p.m., Phoenix, Arizona. Specifics.
Right, that context is important. It gives it a grounding in reality, even if the subject seems unreal.
It was posted on Facebook by a guy named Richard Christensen.
Yeah.
And it just took off. Over 40,000 shares, like really fast.
Which is massive reach. And the comment section, as you can imagine.
Oh, I bet it was wild.
Completely. You had everything. People saying demon, angel, absolute proof of something supernatural.
Then the skeptics, I assume.
Oh, yeah. Engineers asking for raw data. People saying it's obviously fake, or the classic, it's just a palm tree.
The palm tree. We'll get to that. But it shows that immediate reaction, doesn't it? We need to label things.
It's almost a reflex. Our brains scramble to fit it into a box, any box.
It really is almost primal, that need to categorize the unknown. Like, what are we even seeing when our first instinct is demon or palm tree? It's fascinating.
It is. You could definitely point to things like pareidolia, our tendency to see patterns, like faces in clouds. Our brains try to make sense of ambiguity. But what's interesting about the report we're drawing from is that it didn't just stop at speculation. It asked the big question, is it real?
Which is always the million-dollar question with these things.
Exactly. And they use a specific tool to try and answer it. Error level analysis, or ELA.
Okay, ELA. Error level analysis. Sounds technical. For those of us who aren't digital forensic experts, how does that actually work? What's it looking for?
Think of it like this. Every time you save a JPEG image, it gets compressed
Right.
to save space.
Yeah, okay.
But that compression isn't perfectly even across the whole picture. ELA is designed to highlight those tiny differences in compression levels. So if someone takes an image, cuts something out, pastes something in, or even just heavily edits one area.
Then the compression in that area will be different.
Exactly. It won't match the rest of the image. Yeah. ELA shows these differences, often as variations in brightness. It's like a digital fingerprint for manipulation. To break it down a bit more, areas that are smooth and uniform, like maybe a clear sky or a plain wall, they tend to have lower ELA values. They look darker in the analysis.
Okay.
But sharp edges, high contrast areas, they usually show higher ELA. They look brighter.
Makes sense.
But the real key is consistency. In an original photo, one that hasn't been messed with, all the high contrast edges should look roughly similar in brightness in the ELA. Same for the low contrast edges. And here's a subtle point from the analysis. In an original untouched photo, those low contrast edges, they should be almost as bright as the high contrast ones. That specific consistency is a big clue.
Wow, okay. So it's looking for those inconsistencies, those parts that just don't quite fit the pattern.
Precisely. Any part that sticks out brightness-wise compared to similar parts of the image could signal that something's been altered.
That's actually a really clever way to look for changes. So applying that to the Phoenix photo, this potential demon or angel, what did the ELA find? Was it photoshopped?
Well, this is where it gets genuinely surprising. According to the report we reviewed, the ELA run on the original image file showed, wait for it, no alteration done.
Seriously, no alteration.
That's what the analysis concluded. The report specifically said it appears to be not Photoshop.
Whoa, okay.
Now, they did note some minor variations in light levels in the ELA result, But, and this is crucial, they found those variations were consistent with the actual light sources you can see in the photo itself. Street lights, ambient light, that sort of thing.
So the light variations look natural to the scene, not like someone digitally added highlights or shadows.
That's the interpretation, yes. It suggests that whatever that figure is, it wasn't digitally pasted into the original photo file.
Okay, hold on. The original image wasn't photoshopped. That's kind of huge, given how bizarre the figure looks. But wait, weren't there like zoomed in versions flying around? Sometimes they look way clearer or maybe even faker. What about those?
That's a really important distinction to make, and the analysis was clear about this too. There's the original photo, and then there are the zoomed-in versions that got shared a lot.
Right.
The zoomed-in version was technically edited, but it was edited for magnification,
Yeah.
Cropping, enlarging.
Just to blow it up.
Exactly. The ELA on that zoomed version did show differences, a different edging style, more surrounding darkness. That's expected when you manipulate an image for zooming. But the key finding was that even in that zoomed and manipulated view, the figure itself retained the same exact structure as in the original.
So zooming changed the file, but didn't change the thing in the photo itself.
That seems to be the conclusion from the ELA perspective. The editing was for display, not to fundamentally alter what was captured initially. And what's really fascinating here, I think, is seeing this kind of forensic tool applied so rigorously to a viral, slightly paranormal-seeming image, and the result suggesting the initial capture was unaltered.
It really makes you think.
It really does.
It tells us that, according to this digital test, whatever that figure is, it seems to have been genuinely there in the scene when the photo was snapped.
Which raises a whole bunch of other questions.
Absolutely. Like, what does unaltered even mean when the subject itself is so weird, so hard to explain? It definitely challenges our assumptions about photographic reality.
Yeah, exactly. Because our first instinct when something is that weird is to find the simple, mundane explanation, right? And for this Phoenix thing, everyone jumped on it's just a palm tree, case closed.
They go to debunk.
But the analysis in the audio we listen to actually tackles that directly, and it kind of dismisses it. It does. The reasoning given is that the image, even blurry, seems to show a distinct, clear space between what look like two legs.
Which a palm tree trunk wouldn't have.
Right. And also the upper part, the wings or leaves or whatever they are. They argued the structure doesn't really match typical palm fronds, even accounting for blurriness.
Okay, so the simple explanation maybe isn't so simple on closer look.
And that's when the ambiguity really takes over, doesn't it? If you rule out the mundane, like a palm tree, and the forensic text says probably not faked, where does that leave you?
Lost in the twilight zone.
Maybe. But it creates this vacuum. Our brains hate a vacuum, especially an explanatory one, so we rush to fill it.
With demons and angels.
Or other extraordinary things. It's interesting, the person who did the analysis in the source audio, they actually shared their personal feeling.
Oh, yeah. What do they think?
They leaned towards believing it was actually a demon. They even expressed surprise, saying something like, because of the time period we're living in.
What?
Now, obviously, we have to present that as just one interpretation from the source material. It's not our conclusion here in this deep dive.
Right, important distinction.
But it perfectly illustrates that human tendency. When the ordinary is ruled out, the mind sometimes jumps straight to the extraordinary to make sense of things.
You know, when I first saw this story, my gut reaction was, okay, another internet fake, move along. But hearing about the ELA results, it kind of throws a wrench in that, doesn't it? That ambiguity is so powerful. People want answers, need answers. And when you can't easily say it's fake or it's a palm tree.
The imagination runs wild.
Exactly. The mind leaps, sometimes to the supernatural, sometimes just to confusion. But these images stick around because they resist easy answers. They tap into something deep, maybe our fascination with the unknown, or even our fears. So, thinking about this, what does it all mean for you listening? You're scrolling online, you see tons of unbelievable stuff every day. This deep dive, I think, it really makes us pause and think. What happens when the tools we use to detect fakes, like ELA, tell us something is authentic, but our gut, our understanding of reality, screams impossible?
It's a real challenge. Does it mean the tools are wrong or limited? Or does it mean our understanding of reality needs to adjusting?
That's the unsettling part, isn't it? It forces you to question not just the photo, but your own framework for what's real.
You have to develop that critical eye, yes, but also be open to the possibility that sometimes the data points somewhere completely unexpected.
And that's where it gets really interesting, like you said. The image apparently isn't photoshopped, according to this analysis, but it still completely defies a simple, conventional explanation.
Absolutely. So just to recap, we started with this bizarre viral image out of Phoenix. We looked at how digital forensics, specifically ELA, was used to examine it. And surprisingly, the analysis suggested the original capture wasn't altered, wasn't photoshopped in the way many assumed.
And we saw how common explanations, like the palm tree theory, were argued against based on the visual details, even blurry ones.
Leaving us with this really perplexing situation. A photograph that seems digitally authentic yet shows something. Well, something extraordinary.
Yeah.
So here's something to maybe chew on after this. We live in an age of AI, deep fakes, where creating convincing fakes is getting easier and easier, almost scary easy.
Yeah, telling real from fake is getting harder all the time.
Right. So in that context, what does it mean for our grasp on reality when an image showing something that seems frankly impossible actually passes a rigorous digital check like ELA and comes back marked unaltered?
Does it make you question everything?
Or maybe it just highlights that there are limits to our current tools, or perhaps even limits to our current understanding of what's possible in the world. It definitely leaves you wondering about truth, perception, and the unexplained in our very digital, very weird modern world.